Hey there, I'm Chris Benetti, host of the Smart Author Podcast. In this episode, I speak with Patti Zorr, and we discuss book launch marketing strategies. I think learning and understanding more about book launching and marketing is really important because it can help you have success as an author. If you're currently not sure how to launch your book, then this episode will be perfect for you, as it will give you the steps and tools you need to crush your book launch. Some of the main topics we will be covering today include using your book to generate leads for your business and grow your email list, using your book to introduce readers to products and services you have so that you can generate a much higher ROI, and how to sell books before your launch date and gather early reviews. At the end of this episode, please make sure you visit our website where you can find the show notes plus all the links mentioned with Patti. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe so you're always the first to know when a new episode is released. Now, let's head over to this awesome interview. Hey, smart authors, welcome to another episode. Today, I'm joined by the amazing Patti Zorr. Patti, how are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. Patti, I would love if you could run everyone up to speed and give them a 30 to 60 second background of what you do in the space and how you've gotten here and all of that.
Yeah, so I am a marketing strategist. I've been in marketing for well over 20 years. I was actually in the corporate world for a long time, and in 2018 got the itch to go out into business on my own. When I first started, I subcontracted for a woman who built websites, but was also working with authors, speakers, and coaches. And she had a couple of big authors and asked me to come on and help them with marketing strategy to launch their books. And so I got to get my feet wet a little bit and actually worked with authors who were New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling authors and really got to understand what it was like. And I realized that whether you are traditionally published and you receive a six-figure advance, or if you're a self-published author, nobody's there to help you with marketing. And I find that that's really tough. I mean, even I couldn't believe it when this one author, this was like his fourth or fifth book, and he had a pretty nice advance. He had done really well with his other books before. And yet, the publisher was saying, well, what's your marketing plan? So I really saw that there was a need. And, with programs like Amazon KDP, almost anyone today can be an author, which is fantastic. So I think that, what you do and with what I do, just being able to help those who just aren't sure where to get started or what to do first. I love being there to jump in and give them strategy and just walk them through the steps and then really help them monetize from the launch of their book. Because something that I heard you say in your inaugural podcast is that you're not going to build a business just on book sales alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what was it like getting into marketing when you're 10 years old?
Hey, thank you. I wish. It's funny, though. It's completely changed. I mean, it really changes every year, it feels like, and it changes faster and faster. But the internet was around when I started. And I mean, there was no social media. There were cell phones, but it was just so different. I mean, it's changed and evolved so quickly. So.
Yeah. I'd love to jump into some of the topics that we have here today. And Patti, by the way, is like one of the most well-organized guests that I've had so far. She actually wrote my notes for me today. Now, she suggested a few topics that were just absolutely amazing. And I was like, okay, everyone needs to hear these because they're just so good. Anyway, so Patti, how can business owners use their book to generate sales and leads for their business?
Yeah, so great question. So one of the things that I found with working with authors, especially if they didn't have a strategy or plan, and again, even those who are experienced and have done this over and over, a lot of times they were sending readers directly to Amazon. And I thought, wow, that's great because, you want people to go to Amazon and buy your book, and we're all accustomed to doing that. but Amazon is collecting your reader information and the author was completely missing out. So here you have a reader who is consuming 100 plus 200 pages of content that you wrote. And, you put blood, sweat, and tears into this. A baby spent years writing this book. And to just have people read it and then not ever know who they are. And as a marketer, that just breaks my heart, right? Because it's right. Sometimes so hard just getting people to like opt in for a lead magnet. Here, people are buying your book and consuming hundreds of pages of content that you wrote. So a couple opportunities, and actually really a good thing that came out of COVID. I know there's not a whole lot, but we were all introduced to the use of the QR code.
Yeah.
And we all know how to use it. And so funny story, actually, real quick. When I was in the corporate world, I worked for a company in consumer goods, and we were having problems with people calling in, and they weren't reading the instruction manual, because as consumers, we don't read the instruction manuals. We just take products out of the box and use it. So I had this great idea. Let's drop a QR code on it. People can scan it and get the instructions. Well, at that time, you had to download a special app in order to scan the QR code and then get the content. Well, with COVID, the technology advanced really quickly. And now it's, you just open up the camera app on your phone and the website magically opens all on its own. You don't even have to do anything. So something authors can do is drop a QR code in your book. You can do it in the beginning, you could do it in the middle, you can do it after each chapter. You can do it in more than one place if you want to. We all know how to use QR codes now worldwide. And now you have the opportunity to now connect and engage with your reader on a different level and almost make it a little bit more personal and intimate. Because if you think about it, our phones are with us everywhere. Even when we're reading a book, our phones are right next to us or sitting on the table. And the really cool thing that you can do, and here's the key thing, is you fan gate it. So you have people opt in. So you can prep them in advance and let them know, I've got some secret content or hidden content. You have content that didn't make the book, that had to get edited out. And maybe it's something you really want your readers to have. Hold on to that and then call it like your secret content or lost content. People, we're so curious now. You see a QR code here in the US, even during the Super Bowl, there was a commercial that was just a QR code only. And I'd be curious now when people scanned it, because we can't help it. We want to know what's behind that QR code, right? What am I going to get? So I think that for every author moving forward, drop your URLs in there, but drop a QR code in there. We all know how to use it, fan gate it. Now you know who your readers are. So as your book gets passed along, when we put them in little libraries, when they get donated, when they get lost or left in the airport, that next person that picks it up, now they're reading your content and hopefully scanning that QR code, you collected their information and you now identified who's read your book. And then the key thing behind that too is, once they've opted in, really over deliver on value. If it's a landing page that's got how-to tips, or maybe it's like meditation practices, maybe it's a video, maybe it's digital download, maybe it's a video, an educational video. It could be anything you want it to be, but definitely make sure you are giving value if somebody's giving you your email address.
Yeah, this is something I'm a massive proponent of as well. And it's kind of definitely an issue with traditional publishing, but Amazon, everyone's buying books through Amazon these days. It's the norm when people are looking to buy a book. So it's really up to you as the author to make sure that you have those opportunities for you to create connection with your reader. And so this can come in the form of a resources page. It could come in the form of a lost chapter or lost content or like a bonus kind of inclusion. And every single one of those should send people somewhere and validate their name, email, and or order number as well. So it seems legit as well. And that's just like a really awesome way for you to help further the customer journey. Because if someone buys your book, and they just buy your book, like that's not really helping anyone. It's not helping you. It's not helping them. It's kind of up to us to extend that customer journey, to walk them through the book's content, engage them, make them curious about the content. And the only way that you can do that is by furthering and getting their details. Because if you don't have that, there's no way for you to directly talk to your customer. Amazon holds that information, or the bookstore holds that information. Yeah. There's no way for you to do that. And so that's something I offer when I go ahead and run Amazon ads for clients. Like, we'll build you a book funnel or like a bonus funnel so that you can, get that contacts information. You can further that customer journey. And, at the end of it, it's point A to point D. End of the book should result in them being interested about what else you can offer to them, what other courses, what other services and whatnot.
Yeah. And something you said that you absolutely nailed. It's like my book marketing love language. You said, your book is really an authority maker and should be used to ascend readers up the value ladder to becoming a buyer. And that's it exactly. Because, book sales alone, I mean, if you're self-published, I don't know, maybe you could make up to $8, depending on the price of your book, maybe. But I think most authors make somewhere between $3 and $5. And then the average author sells 250 books in their lifetime. And so, right? I mean, think about if that's all the books that you sell, and most likely those authors didn't have a strategy. They're not listening to the Smart Author podcast. But yeah, if you're only making $5 a book, you're not going to be able to, I don't even know that you're going to recoup your cost to publish your book on that, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that money is better well spent on marketing your book as well. Like anywhere from the $3 to $8 to $12, whatever you get, you're better off breaking even on the book sale and introducing a smart way for the reader to ascend and go through that customer journey and then become a back-end client. Because that's where the real money's made. And I'll repeat it in every episode if I have to, but that's what you should be focusing on for sure.
I love it. What's the rule of marketing? Say the same thing 100 times versus saying 100 things one time, right?
Okay, so that actually brings us to the next point very well. So using your book to introduce readers to products and services with a higher ROI. So, I just mentioned it, like your money should be spent on the front end to try to break even have a slight negative if it means you can introduce them to a really solid fulfillment and ascension process. But yeah, I'd love to hear more about that from you as well.
Yeah. So like you, I believe every author should have a book funnel as part of their marketing strategy. And one of the things that I love to lead with is leading with some bonuses that are perhaps even more valuable than the book itself. So as an author, what you're doing is when you're podcasting, when you're speaking, when you're networking, you're telling everyone to visit your book page. So you're giving them that website or URL. And on that page, again, is another opt-in form because you really want to be identifying who's reading your book, who's consuming your content. Because moving forward, you want to nurture them, you want to serve them, educate them, get them to know, like, and trust you, and then you can sell to them. But on that book funnel, I love to first introduce bonuses so that when your reader goes to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or their favorite retailer to buy the book, they come back, put their order number in, you can have them send you your receipt. There's lots of different ways to do it. But then they get access to some very special bonuses that complement the book. So now you're helping that reader take that next steps because, right, you're giving them, your book should be, well, I guess if it's a nonfiction book, right, it should be about helping that reader make some kind of transformation or change. And it's tough sometimes because, we'll read a book and be like, wow, that was a great book. But now we're left to our own devices to go do that next thing. Yeah. And so that's where the advantages of putting QR codes to help them take that next step or offering bonuses when they put their information and order number in on your book page. And now, again, it could be digital downloads. It could be, again, that lost content that we talked about, courses. You can give, and if you have a course, perhaps you only give them access to like one or two modules, and now you have the opportunity to then upsell them to the rest of your course. Or, maybe you have a short course that's 45 minutes to an hour long. And then from there, you can upsell to coaching or consulting. There's masterminds, events, group coaching, right? The possibilities could be endless. I've seen some authors do giveaways even. So they'll give away maybe a 3-hour session. So you can really have fun. I always like to say there's really no rules. You can kind of do whatever you want. Just as long as you're leading with value and serving first, right? The one thing I would recommend is if you are doing a digital download, because perhaps maybe you have a spreadsheet with formulas that are pre-built or prompts, make sure it's valuable. Don't just throw a bunch of things on like a PDF and say, oh yeah, this is it. They'll get by. Because I hate personally when that happens to me. I just feel like this guy or girl just didn't, I kind of feel duped a little bit. I gave you my information and I got this one pager and it really wasn't worth my email address. So you don't ever want to give anybody that sort of experience. You want to make them feel like, whoa, they really over delivered here. This is amazing, right? Again, it's that know, like, and trust factor, because then they're willing to take that next step with you.
Yeah. We should totally be thinking about how to prime people so that they think of us as like an ultimate value giver. Like if they were to become a client of ours, what would you want to put in front of them beforehand so that, you look like the best solution for whatever they're coming to you for. And so like some ideas that come to mind for me is like, how can we expand on chapters in different formats? How can we give spreadsheets and tutorials for those kind of things, like tools and tutorials for those kind of things? And just like you've written potentially 200 pages of awesome content in your book, maybe more, maybe a little bit less, but like you've done so much hard work for the content of your book. Why don't you just utilize that and expand on that and create your tools and strategies and bonus things around that content? I think the lost content is an awesome topic because it could just be expanded information on stuff that you've already written about. And, that makes it kind of easy to now create bonuses and additional resources that go along with your book without you having to get too stuck in like, oh, I need to create a whole new course for it or a whole new this for it. It's like, just utilize what you have, expand on it slightly and, reformat it. And you're onto a really big winner, because if people love your book, they're going to love that content so much more as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I will expand on something because there may be some fiction writers listening as well. I think the lost content thing is really interesting because perhaps there is something about a character and you really wanted to do a much deeper dive into this character, but it's not enough for a whole book or it's not as interesting. Why not give away access again to, here's more information about, really find out like where this character came from and where the idea came from. And so you can really do a little bit deeper dive into some of the different characters as well.
So how do you sell your books before you launch them? And so you use this as a strategy, obviously, to get some pre-sales, but also to get a whole bunch of testimonials before the book actually launches. Can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Yes. Yeah. So I like to do this through an advanced reader campaign. And what I do for my authors is I'll often build a landing page for them, again, with an opt-in form. Now, a lot of times the people that you invite to become an advanced reader are typically people that you've had some sort of connection with, whether you're in the same Facebook group and you've interacted a couple of times or you've met them in person or virtually, whatever it might be. You want to send an email and invite them to come and join your advanced reader group. I always have them drop a video onto the advanced reader page and just express their gratitude and what to expect as becoming an advanced reader for you. And same thing, we like to offer the advanced readers, a couple little bonuses because we are asking them to do a couple things. First, we're asking them to buy the book. So now you're getting some pre-orders going. There's a couple ways to do it. Some tricks is you could price the Kindle version for 99 cents. So therefore your advanced readers are only having a very low barrier to entry. They get access to that Kindle version because you can put Kindles and hardbacks on pre-sale. You can't do it with paperback, and I don't think you can do it with the audio books either. So now you're getting some pre-orders. it's your advanced readers. And it's, again, people who it's kind of a no-brainer, right? If a colleague I've met or somebody in a group I've interacted with was like, hey, I'm writing a book, you want to join my team? Heck yeah, why not? I love to support. We all love to support each other. And that's another thing too. Authors should be supporting authors. And then, so now you've pre-sold some books. You've given them a couple little bonuses for joining the advanced reader team. Now you just want to nurture them, email them, perhaps weekly, depending on how far away you are from your book launch. And then what happens as one of the giveaways, you also give them an advanced copy of the book. And this is a digital copy of the book. It could be in a PDF format. It doesn't have to be completely formatted for publishing. PDF is fine. And the idea is that you want your advanced readers to start reading the book before launch day happens. So once launch day approaches, you've now pre-sold books. And now you can start asking your advanced readers to come in and start posting the review, whether it's Amazon or their favorite retailer. It should be wherever they purchased the book from during pre-order.
Yeah.
So launch day happens, you've got pre-orders happening right away, and now you've got reviews coming in right away. And the reviews are verified because they had to first purchase the book on Amazon to join the advanced reader team. And same thing, we ask them to put their order number in. Another thing that I think is great too is you could host a workshop. And something I think interesting with workshop is if you're looking for case studies, I think a workshop is a really excellent way to try to get some people to first pay you to do some coaching or consulting. You could offer it at a discounted rate because tell them, listen, I'm looking for case studies. I'm writing a book. Would you be willing to come on? Can I use your name? If not, you can always, use a false name, I guess, right? Make a made up name, but their business gets to be featured in your book. You're getting paid to do coaching. You're also kind of priming people that your book launch is coming. They're getting excited. You can actually make an official announcement during a workshop. So all kinds of things you can do. You can tell them like really excited, do all the things.
So the workshop come as like you're writing or preparing to like publish the book. Essentially, it would help to cement some of the strategies that come in the book and then show the results that it can help provide.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways to do it. You could do the workshop if you are looking for case studies. It's a great time to do it. And again, try to build some business while writing your book, and then you can feature them in your book. I think it's also a really fun time to announce your book launch. So you invite everyone. It could be a free workshop. You could charge for it. And whoever shows up on that workshop, perhaps you offer a very special pre-launch bonus. So you can say, I have a really special announcement. I've been working on this book for the last year. My launch day is coming up in, 30 days. I would love it if you would go in and pre-order the book. And when you do it today or this week, I'll give you special access to X. So yeah, there's a few ways to do it.
So one of your quotes here is, writing books isn't a business, but selling them is. I think that's so fantastic. Just because so many people get caught up in like, okay, I need to write this book, and then they release it and then just do nothing, right? I think it's so important for us to follow up with the hard work that we put in for writing the book and continuously to, sell them ongoingly. What do you find some of the best strategies are to continue to sell your book after the release?
So the writing books isn't business, but selling them is. That wasn't my quote, but it's out there and you'll hear it everywhere. There's another one. There's another quote. And again, this one didn't come from me. And I think it's Mike Michalowicz who said this. And it's, once you have a book, you're always marketing a book. And it's so true. You should always be talking about your book. I tell authors, listen, if you launched and it didn't go how you expected, relaunch your book. Even if it did go how you expected, you can relaunch your book again and again. I mean, think about Apple or Coca-Cola, you're still seeing commercials for their products, not just the new products, but their classic products too. Like Apple, there's not really, they just come out with new products all the time. But brands that have been around for a while, they still talk about their products all the time. They're still essentially like relaunching their products. And you can definitely do that with your books. Keep talking about them, keep relaunching them. If it's every 6 months, if it's every year. And again, you've got that book funnel that's built. And the thing that I love about book funnels is they just live on in perpetuity.
Mm-hmm.
It's, something that you should have always, as long as you're selling your book. So yeah, some different promotional or PR activities I'll talk about with my authors. Definitely doing things like podcasts. Again, they live for a long time. There's a lot of SEO value there in podcasts as well. So again, you never know, somebody may be listening to your podcast that you filmed today. You're talking about your book and they're listening to it a year or 2 years from now and then want to go back and buy your book. And don't ever forget about in-person networking. The world is opening back up, and just connecting with people and speaking. There's all kinds of things you can do even locally. There's lots of networking groups you could join. In the US here, we even have the Chamber of Commerce. So there's definitely speaking opportunities, social media, doing things like IG Live. So you can just get out there everywhere. I just tell my authors, you're going to be sick of talking about your book, but most of the people listening are just hearing it for the first time.
I think one of the seriously amazing things about podcasting is you basically can try and find the people, the hosts, the shows that have your audience. And then there's always an opportunity for you to create a further connection with the host after the show. Like, how can you create a further relationship? How can you create a referral network so that there's a consistent source of you being able to make a win-win referral relationship with the person you've just spoken to, and then back at you. And, it starts to get exciting, because it doesn't always then have to be about the book. It can be about, what other services align with my audience that, we could offer. And so if you start to think about it in the whole grand scheme of thing, your book and promotion of your book can be thought about in the same way that you think about your core business, if you have one. And that basically allows you to go ahead and make those initial connections. You can think about how you can have a referral relationship, and it can be about your book, it can be about your services, it can be about your products that you offer. As long as the audience aligns and it makes sense, then, the opportunities are really endless. And, that can be said for the in-person events and, the podcast and the online things and like the summits, whatever. Like, there's 101 different ways for you to go out and create those connections and relationships with people. And again, if they have your audience, it's generally going to work out. So
yeah, I love it. I know that there really is so much you can do today. And the great thing is there's so much information out there online. And again, just having a podcast like this where people are coming on and sharing tips. I can't wait to tune in and get some ideas and hear what everybody else is doing. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to wrap up the episode here. Thank you so much again, Patti, for joining me today. Is there anywhere where you'd like to send people?
You can visit my website, pattyzorr.com. It is Patti with an I, Zorr. You can also follow me on Instagram at pattyzorr as well.
Awesome. And I'll be sure to include that into the show notes. Thank you again, Patti, for your time and the amazing content here. I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. And thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I loved having this conversation with you.
You're welcome. Damn, what an awesome episode. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing on your podcast platform of choice so you get notified every single time a new episode releases. And if you're struggling with your book sales, head over to smartauthormedia.com/audit to get a free audit of your book sales, to see where we can help you bridge the gap between not many sales to a lot of sales. It's a free resource call that we have together where I give you some clear action steps that you can take to take your stuff from broken to selling. I'll see you over there. Thanks again for listening.